Forbidden Secret. Prologue. Sometimes in life, our relationships are faced with certain trials, be it marriage, dating, or even relationships between siblings. During periods like this, if such relationships are not built on solid foundations, they will be slaughtered on the altar of trials. Forbidden Secrets is a novel about two lovers who are faced with hard times in their relationship. Though fictional, one can learn a thing or two from this couple as they navigate their stormy waters to build an even stronger bond at the end of the day. Chapter 1. Mondays are usually busy at the car dealership company that has contributed immensely to the success of my career. I could look back at how I started out here. I had just graduated from college, and I wanted to start my career journey real fast. So, when the opportunity presented itself to work as a sales rep at one of the biggest car dealerships in the city, I grabbed it with both hands. Somehow, I believe I would meet someone here who would help me climb the ladder of life. And if things went extremely well, I would meet the love of my life here, one of the numerous company executives or billionaires that visit every once in a while to get themselves a new toy. I am not a gold digger. I am a hard worker, and I work real hard to get to the position I am in today, sales manager. From my office, I can monitor my sales reps. I know those who are working, those who are not, and those who are having a bad day. I also know those who love their jobs, like Jerry. Jerry is like sunshine on a rainy day, and it seems like there's always a smile permanently plastered to his face on and off work. This baby goes fast, has cruise control, top-notch turning radius, 6-speed transmission. If you're looking for something to take you far fast and with minimal fuel economy, then this baby's for you, said Jerry to a middle-aged man as they both stood in front of a Ferrari. You could tell his excitement with the way he nods each time he says baby. He reminded me a lot about my starting days. He is smart, well-spoken, and simply amazing. He could decode the body language of almost any customer. He knows when he has to have you on a chokehold. He also knows when his message isn't hitting home. Most importantly, he knows how to get the job done. He's just 20 and seemed like he should be a lecturer in some top business school, because this boy could sell holy water to a voodoo priest if presented with the chance. He was simply that good. Okay, I'm gonna buy it, customers usually say with a smile after speaking to Jerry. And they were always rewarded with a bright smile and a handshake. You have made the best choice, sir, Jerry said. Please, come with me. My manager had to confirm the transaction. After that, this baby is yours, he added, leading the man towards my office. I sat down waiting for them in my office, while I replied to an email message from the company director about upcoming bonus if we were able to increase our sales quota for the year. It was obvious Jerry couldn't contain his joy, which I found amusing as I read through the financial report and signed it. He is always ecstatic any time he sells a car. Doing this job never gets old for him. You're good to go. Congratulations, sir. You got yourself a beautiful baby. Let me see you out, Jerry added with a smile as he shakes the customer's hand once more. It was almost time for my lunch break, a part of my day that I have to come to appreciate. I get to relax a little bit and have some me time away from my desk. I was going to call my Felicia while I ate lunch. Felicia has been my best friend since 5th grade, and as we grew up together, our bond also grew stronger. She's habitually the life of the party, a combination of sordid and prude. Felicia can be loose or loyal, and that depends on her mood. Standing at 5 feet 7 inches, a curvy body that will have any man daydreaming, and a skin-popping melanin all day long. She grew up to be a beautiful young woman. It surprises me how she managed to be single with all of these attributes. I have done my bit in setting her up for blind dates, but she would always tell me, "You can force a donkey to the river, but you can't force her to drink from it." One of her main excuses has been that until the men that she met were not her ideal. Just like me, she was a hard worker and a strong, independent woman who knew exactly what she wanted. One thing I have come to love and appreciate about my best friend is the energy she puts into running her hairstylist business. She has managed to grow it from scratch over the years, and she knows how to hold it down. Not long, I was seated at a table in my favorite lunch place. I love to come here because it is always serene at this time of that. I realized if I called Felicia, she might be busy with a customer. Her store is always wrapped up with people most of the times. I waited until I was done with my food, and then I proceeded to call her. Hearing her voice, I felt giddy. I cannot determine if she was doing this intentionally, sounding like she wanted her hand in my pants. Her words are low and a bit deep, giving it a slightly masculine feel. I'd often imagined her saying words like, "What is the color of your undies?" Or, "Your dress looks sexy on you." But it was a disappointment when she laughs, because it was always high-pitched, and it reminded me of my mother, who died from cancer a few years back. Felicia glanced over to her phone lying on top of the drawer as she weaved her customer's hair. "Hold on, girl. My best friend is setting me up on FaceTime." She picked up the phone. "Hey, girl," I said with a usual smile. Felicia's presence ignites, even though we were on FaceTime. "Hey, girl," she replied with a reciprocating smile. "How you doing, girl?" I inquired, playing my natural role of a caring friend. "You know how it goes, girl. I'm just doing my best to hold it down here," she answered, letting me in on my immediate feeling. "You're doing great, girl," I admitted, with a sense of encouragement. "What's up with you?" she asked with curiosity. "I'm good. Just work and stuff. You know how we roll." "Hey, before we get on with all the gist, how are you planning for Friday?" I asked. Felicia's birthday was coming up that weekend. I'm better at making plans, so I wanted to make sure everything was in place. "You trying to remind me I'm getting old now, huh?" she injected, with a sense of sarcasm. "Come on, Feli. You know you're doing all right. And you look way younger than your age," I said. We both laughed. "I know, you always try to sweet-talk me. Well, I know you got my back, and we gon' hold it down at my place Friday night," she added proudly. "I can't wait. We gon' have mad fun," I said. "I got you," she replied. I glanced at my wristwatch and realized I had been on the phone with Felicia longer than I had planned. I couldn't help but wonder if the customer was cool with the long conversation, or if she was already fuming. We had spoken for an hour, and we could go on for another hour if one of us didn't want to compromise. I needed to go back to work, and also allow her to go back to attending to her customer. "I gotta get back to work," I admitted, relishing when next I will talk to her. "My lunch break's over. I'll hit you up later," I added. "All right, Tess. I love you," she smiled. "I love you too," I replied. I hung up, quickly finished my meal, and headed back to my office. Felicia went back to attending to her patient customer. I sat behind my desk, thinking of my conversation with Felicia. I realized that was the only time in a long while we had kept the conversation simple and clean. Somewhere along the years of our friendship, she had begun to tease me with her masculine approach and tone. She always talked dirty to me. She would use phrases like, "If I had a dick, I would be fucking you like no man's business." While I was still single, staying alone, She would see me unclad, and she would be like, "You got a perfect body." And I would make you wet and suck up all your juices. She might not know it, but her words were getting to me. Deep inside of me, I wanted her to make me lose control. But somehow, we had both kept our relationship how it was meant to be. The rest of the day went on fast. I closed sales earlier than I usually would. I had to make dinner for my boyfriend, Shimori. Talking of Shimori, he was not the kind of man that I envisaged I'd end up with. Thinking of my early days at the car dealership where I felt I would meet the love of my life. But meeting the love of my life happened to be an entirely different scenario. I was returning from work on a Friday night. I had just got off of an annoying traffic jam. Suddenly, I noticed my back tire had gone down. I was befuddled because I was due for a girls' night out with my girl Felicia. I had disappointed her on 3 occasions already, so the 4th wouldn't be fair, and it was not looking unlikely. I sat down in my car for a moment, thinking about my bad luck that evening, and summoning the courage I needed to change the tire. I finally alighted and headed for my car trunk when this black Mercedes pulled up in front of my car. I continued to my car trunk without any expectation. I opened the trunk, took out my spare tire, and reached for the car jack. "You must be having a hell of a night." The unfamiliar voice sounded soothing, but it got me more alert than comforting. I looked up to look at the stranger, or maybe my potential aggressor. Standing before me was a 5'9", muscularly built, handsome young black man, with a beautiful smile that complements his look. "You can say that again," I replied, not hiding my frustration. "Well, it's your lucky night, 'cause Superman just showed up," he announced with a smile. Somehow, I felt relieved by the presence of the stranger. "Oh yeah?" I asked. "May I?" he said, reaching for the jack I am holding. "Of course," I replied. He flashed another smile as he gently collected the car jack from my hand. At that point, I began feeling enchanted, and it seemed that he was aware of the power his smile possessed. He kept flashing it while he changed the tire. I checked my time. It was just 8:05 p.m. I could still meet up with my appointment with Felicia. It took him less than 10 minutes to change the tire. He lifted the flat tire and dumped it into the trunk of my car. I don't know what I was thinking about, but my mind was dirty as hell seeing the strength he used in lifting the tire. I wished it was me he lifted in that manner. I didn't realize he was done with everything, not until his voice snapped me back to reality. "You are good to go," he said, yet with another enchanting smile. One more of that smile, and juices would be popping out of my pussy. "Oh, thank you so much," I uttered, feeling a little embarrassed by my thought process. "You're welcome," he replied, then turned to walk away. "Are you being serious right now?" I thought. "You're not going to ask for my number? Who the hell are you? Are you trying to make me feel ugly or what?" Standing at 5 feet 6 inches, curvy with extra flesh in the right places, I knew I wasn't ugly. But this stranger's making me feel that way right now. "Just like that?" I inquired, not knowing when the words left my mouth. He turned back to face, flashing yet another spell-casting smile. "If you're going to make me feel ugly, then you better stop smiling like that," I blurted out in my head. "I'm sorry," he said, feeling apologetic. "I'm rushing off to a business meeting. I can't afford to be late. I would love to see you again, but I would leave that to fate," he added before sauntering towards his car, leaving me in a worse state than he had met me in earlier. How dare he leave our next meeting in hand of fate? Was he here to help me or torment? A lot was going on in my head, but there was nothing I could do about it. I would just go hang out with Felicia and slander this motherfucker when I get high, I thought as I climbed into the driver's seat of my car. It was buzzing at our usual hangout spot. I sat in front of the bar watching Felicia dance the night away on the dance floor. My mind drifted to the stranger I had met earlier that night. That cruel stranger that couldn't even ask for my name. A sense of anger swept through my body. Who does he think he is? I hope I don't even get to see him again because my reception will be really cold, I thought to myself. Still on the wrong side of luck? An unusual but familiar voice whispered into my ear. The anger in me dissipated in that moment. I turned, and my eyes met a familiar face. "My name is Shimori," he announced, stretching out his hand to shake mine. Finally, I thought. "I'm Destiny," I replied, not remembering what I was angry about a moment ago. "Will you be my Destiny?" he asked in a flirtatious tone. I beamed with a smile, because I was already out of breath, and I didn't know what to answer. "You look gorgeous," he added. Being a sales rep, talking should be my thing. But why is this man making me speechless? Just then, I remembered I had promised myself I wasn't going to make it easy from the next time I saw him. He had to pay for making me feel ugly. "How many girls have you said that to today?" I queried. "None," he answered. I could see his innocence in his eyes. I didn't want to scare him away, so I decided to play his game. "Where are you going to show up next? My bedroom?" I asked in a naughty tone. "I would love that. But I want to know you first," he confessed. I knew then that I liked him, and I wanted to know him even more. He sat beside telling me more about himself while we drank. I got to know that he was a hustler. He was just starting out in real estate, and he had so much potential. About an hour later, Felicia walked over to me. She was already wasted, and she was leaving with one young man she had been seductively rocking on the dance floor all night. "Okay, but be careful and call me if you need anything," I cautioned. "I will," she replied before sauntering away to her mystery man. My hangout with Shimori continued a little longer. I felt so safe in his company that I drank more than usual. My head started spinning, and I knew I had to leave. Shimori guided me outside to his car and helped me into the passenger seat. That was all I could remember that happened that night, because I immediately dozed off. I was woken up by the sun ray sneaking its way through a slit between the curtains. How did I get here? I thought. Then, I remembered I had felt comfortable in the company of the man I met last night. I had drank more than usual. My head was banging with headache. I glanced around the room and noticed everything was neatly arranged. My gaze fell on a glass of water, sitting in a tray atop the bedside drawer. The tray also contained a painkiller, with a note that said, "Having a headache? Water will work just fine." I smiled and thought to myself, how can one man be handsome and awesome at the same time? I grabbed the glass of water and gulped it down. As I dropped the empty glass back in the tray, it dawned on me that I was wearing different clothes than what I had on last night. I had on now a big t-shirt and a boxer brief. Damn, Destiny. He must have fucked you while you were drunk and asleep. How the fuck did you get too comfortable with a stranger? I scolded myself in my head. I quickly reached down to the boxer brief and inserted my middle finger to my pussy. It was dry down there. Oh, maybe he didn't fuck you. But he certainly saw you naked, I concluded in my mind. Immediately, the door opened and Shimori walked in carrying a tray of food. He had an apron over the singlet and shorts he was wearing. He looked even more handsome than I imagined last night. His red lips instantly got to me, and I wanted to kiss him that minute. Don't get ahead of yourself now, Destiny. You need to quiz him on why you're wearing his clothes, I told myself. Good morning, sunshine, Shimori smiled, dropping the food tray on my lap. The tray contained a cup of coffee, some toasted bread, and fried eggs. Okay, I'm going to ask you how I got into your clothes, but first, I need to eat, but I'm too damn famished. Good morning, I smiled back. I see you are a perfect gentleman, I added. I have to take care of you, he replied. That sounded so nice to me, but I had to quiz him. That's how you pick up women? Sweep them off their feet, then forget them immediately they leave? Too difficult to believe that you're special? He fired back. I smiled, picked up the cup of coffee, and took a sip. It tasted great. Why am I wearing your stuff? I inquired as I took a bite of the toasted bread. 'Cause I was sure you won't have slept well in what you are wearing. You needed a bath and a change of clothes. Like I said, I have to take care of you, he answered with precision. I asked in a naughty tone, avoiding his eyes. He hesitated until I returned my gaze to him. You have the most perfect body I've ever seen, he said. With a seductive tone, I got butterflies flying in my stomach. I moved the tray to the bedside drawer, then turned to face him, leaning towards him. I whispered, my lips almost on him. I could feel the warmth of his breath on my lips. He leaned closer, our lips grazing one another. I want to see only yours for the rest of my life if you let me, he whispered back. Damn, this man is good with words, I thought. He kissed me, and I kissed him back. I'd waited long enough for that. Our kissing turned to a fiery expression of passion. I lost all control. Shamori and I quickly took off whatever piece of clothing we had on. I was dripping wet, and his dick was erect and hard. I gently pushed him back into the bed, then grabbed his long, hard dick. I ran my tongue around the tip, making Shamori let off a soft moan. I slid about half the length of his penis into my mouth, and then began to suck on it like a popsicle. I enjoyed hearing him moan with pleasure. I haven't had sex in the last 6 months, and I never planned on fucking a man I met barely 12 hours ago. But I felt like I had known him for years. Shamori pulled me up for a kiss. I wanted to straddle him and ride him like a wild cowgirl, but he quickly rolled me over. He kissed me from neck down to my nipple, which he bit gently as he sucked on it. Then he began to kiss his way down to my thighs. I spread out my legs to allow him easy access. He continued with kisses around my pussy for a while. I couldn't wait for his tongue to finally caress my clitoris, but he continued to kiss my thighs, making me wait for a little longer, giving me a love-hate feeling. When his tongue finally brushed over my vagina, my body quivered, and I moaned as I was bursting with pleasure. I was super wet, and Shamori knew how to use his tongue to make a woman go crazy. He sucked up my juices for the next 10 minutes, and it has never felt that good for me. I could no longer wait to have that 9 inches long hard dick inside me. Please fuck me, I whispered. He slid up to me and kissed me. I gasped as he penetrated me. My pussy was tight, but I was just fine. We made a sweet love that would be the first of many. Chapter 2. There was 9 p.m. on Friday night, the D-Day for Felicia's birthday. I made sure to finish up everything I had to do at home, and in time, too. I and Shamori had moved in together by now, and things had also gotten a bit slow between us. His business had been quite demanding due to expansion, while I, on the other hand, had been having to do a lot at the dealership. I made sure I had his dinner ready early. I had just finished taking my shower when he walked in. "Hey, baby," he said, walking toward me. "Hey," I replied with a smile. He planted a kiss on my lips. That has been our signature thing to do. He pulled back, admiring my dress outfit. I was wearing a white short gown that clung to my body and made sure my curves were well highlighted. "You look too damn cute," he admitted with a smile, Thank you, babe, I replied. You're sure you don't want to come with me? I asked exquisitely. I'm straight, he answered. I just want to have some good sleep tonight. I'm stressed out with all the running around. You know it's been a busy week, he added. Okay, babe, I left your dinner in the microwave, I said. He grabbed my ass as he kissed me again. Don't let no motherfucker rock you too much, he said with jealousy in his tone. You know this body is all yours, I replied with a smile. I love this man and I could do anything to keep him happy. He kissed again. Have fun out there, he said, finally letting me go. I grabbed my purse from the bedside drawer and left the room. Shimori plopped down and lay back on the bed, catching his breath. He had had a really stressful week, and he was more than grateful it was Friday. While checking out a new property he wanted to acquire, his thoughts drifted to Destiny, how much he loved her, and how amazing his life has been since she came along. He also thought about how they hadn't made love in a while. He was going to try and work on his schedules to avail them of time to get intimate again. He was almost dozing off when his phone beeped at an incoming text message. He reached into his pocket, took out the phone and checked the message. It was rather disturbing. It had come from an unsaved contact and it read, I got pregnant for you and you have refused to see me ever since. He knew who had sent the message. It had come from Tamari, a young lady he got involved with one night he had been drunk. An act that has never stopped haunting him. But he isn't going to think too much about it tonight. He is not going to allow anything to stop him from having a good night's sleep today. With that conviction, he deleted the text, then stood up, undressed, and headed for the bathroom. I sat in the backseat of the Uber, thinking about Shimori, how amazing he had been in these 2 years we have dated. He had become my biggest inspiration, and we always had each other's backs. My thought process was interrupted by the horn of the car at my destination, as the driver pulled to a slow stop behind lined-up cars of invitees. When I got into Felicia's living room, the party was already in full swing. Music was banging in the background. People were having uncensored fun, dancing, and drinking. I maneuvered my way through the wild crowd to find Felicia. She was looking elegant as ever in her long red gown. She had an eye for fashion and she never disappoints. The red gown revealed her hourglass shape, and perky breasts perfectly matched up with nude high heels. She was a sight to behold. Hugging her, I proceeded to raise my glass up for a toast and the other ladies surrounding her followed suit. We had mad fun. The party died down from 11 p.m. and by 12 a.m., no one was left except us. We were high as fuck. Felicia and I staggered into the bedroom, leaning on each other as we approached the bed. We fell freely on it, the soft foam, facing each other. We began to laugh. She had a lot of fun as her lipstick was smudged all over her face, kissing party guests on the cheeks and some on the lips. We fell silent, gazing into each other's eyes. I had not been so damn high in a long while, I said, breaking the silence that was growing between us. I've not been so damn high and horny in a long while, she responded with a naughty chuckle. You need to get yourself a man, I said half-heartedly. Our eyes maintaining contact began to build up a sense of passion inside me. Something I felt I'd never feel again. Something I haven't felt since Shimori has been in my life. Maybe not, she answered, placing her hand between my thigh. My heart began to race. I have always wished for us to get down, but I have been too embarrassed to make the first move because I knew Felicia to be too playful, and I could be wrong about the signs she was showing. But here we are. I don't know how to react now that she was making the move. It's just you and me left in this house, she added. Kiss me, bitch, I demanded in my mind. Felicia leaned forward and kissed me. You are too damn beautiful and sexy in that dress. Did anyone tell you that tonight? She continued, and something sparked inside of me. Her voice was thick with intention, and my body got all the message. I wanted to admit that Shimori had a compliment to me earlier tonight on my dress. That might spoil the moment. You just did, I answered. I welcomed another kiss on my lips, placing my hands around her neck and head as she plowed my mouth. I had thought about this so many times, and I imagined resisting. But how could I resist my best friend making me lose control? Felicia was slick, and I did not recall when she unzipped my dress. I laid back while she came on top of me. She cupped my left boob with her right hand and gently twisted my nipple, squeezing my boobs intermittently. I was lost in the land of pleasure, but it was nothing like when she impassionately sucked my nipples. I bit down on my lower lip, moaning softly. You like that? She inquired in her usual commanding tone. I love it, I admitted in my mind, not wanting to say it out loud. But she got the message when I gently pushed her lips back on my nipple. She sucked me a little more. She kissed my lips, my boobs, and my tummy in a straight line, skipped my pussy and slowly kissed my thighs. My legs trembled. She pushed my legs apart, adjusted herself between them. You're so beautiful, she admitted, then kissed my pussy. I closed my eyes and the thought of Shimori crossed my mind. I'm sorry, baby, I said in my mind. Felicia pulled me closer and lustily licked me, rolling her tongue in a circular motion, sucking up my juices. I pushed my pussy harder against her tongue. My breathing became rapid. My thighs began to tremble. I was about to climax when I felt her finger inside me. This is it, I thought to myself. She slid her finger to my vagina, while her tongue controlled the work on my pussy. Oh, fuck, I blurted out. I held her head tighter on my pussy, slowly swirling my waist around. Felicia's finger inside of me was going in and out as her tongue circled quicker. Oh yes, fuck yes, oh yes. I burst into orgasm. We cuddled and slept off in each other's arms. I woke 2 hours later. I pulled away from Felicia as quiet as I could, trying not to wake her up. I dressed up, picked up my purse and headed out. Since the front door was unlocked, there was no need bothering her. And I also felt a little embarrassed, not ready to face her. Once outside, I stood on the sidewalk waiting for my Uber to arrive. Thoughts of Felicia and I were on my mind. What would happen to our friendship now? I quizzed myself. Soon, my Uber arrived and drove me home. Shimori was asleep when I walked into the bedroom. I moved around quietly, not wanting to wake him up. I quickly undressed, had a shower, and I changed into my nightwear. I checked the time on my phone. It was 2:30 a.m. I climbed into bed and Shimori welcomed me into his arms, kissing me on my forehead. It was past 9 a.m. on Saturday morning. Shimori sat in bed surfing on his phone. He was texting several housing agents with whom he had a business with. I needed more sleep, but I was already in the bathroom taking my shower because I needed to meet with my team at the office. As I stepped out of the bedroom, Shimori looked ecstatic as he exclaimed, "That's what's up." "Babe, what's up?" I asked, puzzled. He read out a text he had just received from one of his associates, Monica. "Congratulations, the seller has accepted your offer for the house." He was grinning from ear to ear. Typical Shimori. Everyone mattered to him, and that's one of the attributes I admired in him. Growing up without both parents, Shimori has to work extra hard whatever he has achieved. He lived in the streets with no one to watch his back, but he turned out to be a fine young man who now has built a fortune for himself. "Oh my God, that's good, baby! Congratulations, I'm so proud of you," I said, smiling with excitement. "Thanks, baby," he replied. I knew how difficult this particular deal had been for him. For months, the seller had refused his offer, but now it's another win for him. I walked over to him, hugged, and kissed him. I sat beside him on the bed. Just then, the memory of my act flashed through my mind, but I suppressed it. Swears, you give me all the motivation I need the way you make things happen, I said. Thank you, baby, for believing in me, I said with appreciation. Thank you for believing in us, I smiled. He chuckled, and I planted a tender kiss on his cheek. Smart-ass lady. Yo, I forgot to ask, how was Felicia's birthday? You had fun last night? He inquired, still smiling at me. The question resurrected a secret I was trying to bury. Shimori knew me too well. I dare not to show any sign of guilt, else I will be spilling my shameful secret. Yeah, it was fun. We had a few drinks, music, and did some karaoke. That's what's up. Sounds like y'all had a good time. Felicia knows how to hold it down, I answered with an anxious smile, which he overlooked. Yeah, she's smart, and that's why y'all been friends since childhood, he replied. You know, right? I tilted my face downward, avoiding his eyes. For sure, he said as he continued on his phone. Let me run, babe. I got a meeting with my team. All right, babe. Have a good one. He leaned in for a kiss. Sure. Still feeling guilty, I kissed him. I quickly stood up, got dressed, and left. Chapter 3. I thought about Shimori all the while I drove. My guilt feel was beginning to get to me, and I dare not say a word of what happened last night to him. I didn't know how he would react. Plus, I valued this relationship too much to ruin it. I would find a way to clear my head and move on, since I couldn't change what had happened. I was going into the car parking lot of my office building when I heard a beep of an income text. I parked my car, then picked up my phone to find out who had texted. Glancing at the screen, it was a text from Felicia. I didn't know what to expect. I had never been so anxious to open the text. Several thoughts had crossed my mind as I stared at the phone screen. Was she mad at me for not resisting her? Did she text to tell me we can't be friends anymore? I thought about the possible outcomes that the text might have. I finally summoned courage and opened the message. It read, "Hey girl, sorry about last night." I sighed in relief. At least I am not the only one with the guilt feeling. I dialed Felicia's line. "Hey girl," she said from the other end of the phone. "What's up?" I asked. "Last night was crazy. I had so much fun," I added, trying to cover up the tension in my voice. "I did too. I haven't had that such for in a long while. Hey, sorry about what happened between us. I've been scared you'd be mad at me, and I didn't know how to approach." "It's okay. We just got a little carried away. We're good," I responded, not wanting to admit how much I enjoyed it. I could feel Felicia smiling as she said, "Okay, thanks, Des." Like me, I knew she valued our friendship so much as to ruin it. But talking to each other after that crazy night took our bond to another level. I didn't want to keep the conversation going, as I needed to be at the conference hall before my team started to arrive. Gotta get up to this meeting with my team. We'll talk later, girl." "Okay, cool," she said. "I love you," I said happily. I didn't care how that came out, if Felicia would think a little extra about it. "I love you too," she said before I hung up. "I'm glad that went well," I said under my breath. Then, I alighted from my car and headed toward the main building. Felicia sat on her kitchen counter staring at her. She had just finished talking to her best friend, and now she was having an array of mixed emotions. Her cup of coffee was running out of vapor, but taking another sip was the last thing on her mind. She thought about Destiny and everything that happened last night. They had been best friends for such a long time, and even though she had always teased her about wanting to rip her clothes apart and make intense love with her, she had no idea it would come with a hangover feeling. She wanted more of what had just taken place last night, but she had to trade cautiously. Her best friend was in a serious relationship, and she knew how dreaming this man had been with her. She knew this was the best love Destiny had felt since she started to date. But right now, even thinking about Destiny turns her on, and she would do whatever she could to have a go at that pussy again. My aura gives off a hardened boss atmosphere, as people are always on their best behavior when they see me. 2 young men and 2 young women sat at the conference table, waiting patiently for my arrival. Jerry was one of the young men, and he was the first to see me as our eyes met when I opened the door. I was surprised to see everyone seated. I walked gracefully to the table. "Good morning, guys. Y'all so early today." Taking my designated seat, I sat down. "Y'all making me so happy lately. How y'all doing?" The team members chorus, "We're good." "Okay, that's cool. Guys, I'm so proud of the energy y'all putting in lately." The team members are all happy, but Jerry spoke on their behalf. "Thanks, ma'am. You are the best team manager, and you always keep us motivated," he said in an enthusiastic way that got me smiling. "Thank you for the compliment, Jerry," I said, smiling back at him. "Okay, guys, I have a good one," I added. The team members looked curious, paying attention to me. The management had decided to reward our hard work. The first person to sell the next 5 cards this month gets a $1,000 bonus in their next paycheck. My team members were all excited. "That's good news," Collins, the second young man on my team, said with joy. "Sure," I replied. "And that's also to get us more motivated. So guys, I know y'all already trying. Just keep up the positive performance," I added. "We'll keep trying our best," Nancy, one of the young ladies, said with assurance. "I'm counting on you guys," I said, as I draw the meeting to a close. It had been 2 weeks since my escapade with Felicia. You'd expect that by now I would have wiped the memory of that night's event off my mind and moved on. But no. I had managed to recreate scenes of Felicia sucking my vagina in my head, and it had only gotten more intense lately. Now, it seemed like the further it takes to happen, the more distracted I became. It was a Tuesday, and I had my usual rounds of naughty thoughts. My absent-mindedness was beginning to affect my report, and I needed to deal with it. I had started compiling the financial report for the month on my computer when Shimori called. "Hey, honey," I answered with a smile. "What's up, baby? How's it going?" he asked from the other side of the phone. "I'm good. What's good?" I queried, listening curiously as he sounded a little joyous. "I'm okay, babe. The house deal will be done in a few days, and I want to celebrate next Saturday. I want to invite a couple of friends," he responded. "Okay, honey. That's cool by me." I admitted, feeling excited for him. "I'll invite Daryl if you will invite Felicia, so we can celebrate the closing of the property." He waited for my reply. "Yes, honey. That sounds like a plan," I answered with assertion. Daryl had been Shimori's best friend for 10 years. Shimori tells him everything that goes on with him, even things he might feel apprehensive about telling me. Like Felicia, Daryl has had a hard time making things work with a woman. It surprised most times how a hard-working, handsome man could manage to be single. Knowing Felicia's situation, Shimori had always wanted to link her up with his best friend, as long as I was cool with it. Of course I was. But with what had happened between Felicia and I I feel drawn back now, setting her up for a date with Daryl. I feel a little jealous now to give her up, but then I would do whatever I had to do to please Shimori. Okay, perfect. I just wanted to give you a heads up before I reach out to anyone, Shimori announced. Okay, great, I responded. How's your day rolling? You having a good one? He asked. Yeah, I answered. Everything is going on well here, I added. Okay, baby, got you. I love you. I love you, I said before I ended the call and continued with work. Shimori sat in his car staring at the picture he had saved Destiny's contact with. He smiled and thought to himself, what an amazing woman I have. I love you, baby. He kissed the phone screen. Then, he remembered that they hadn't made love in the last month. He had always planned to change that, but he had failed to keep up with his plans. He decided that it was going to happen later that night. He would go home early and he would initiate the move. Destiny would love it. She must have noticed how busy he was and decided not to come up with the sex move. He knew she loved him, and she was loyal. They were working hard for their unborn children, and they both understood it that way. They had decided not to have kids until they were comfortable enough financially. But tonight, they were going to have good sex. Even though it wasn't for baby making, they needed it after a long while. Soon, I heard a knock on the door. I looked up to see Jerry with a customer for the third time in a day. Why was I not surprised? From the moment I announced the bonus on sales, I was convinced Jerry was going to win it. I smiled, welcomed them into my office. I simply read through the document and signed it, sealing the sale. It was 5:30 p.m. I had done enough for the day. I decided to leave early so I could surprise Shimori with his favorite meal. I shut down my computer, picked up my handbag, and left. I stopped at my favorite grocery store and got what I needed for the meal. I was running out with the cooking when Shimori entered the kitchen. He walked over to me, kissed me on my neck, smacked my ass, then grabbed my boobs from behind. Hey, honey, I said, feeling aroused by his touch. That smells delicious, he said. He looked over my shoulder into the pot I was stirring. I could feel excitedness. Wait till you have a taste, I smiled. I don't know about that, but I'm sure know that you still taste better. So I'm about to eat you first, he said as he squeezed my boobs gently. I could feel his erecting against my ass. I got the message he was trying to pass and I wanted him so badly. For real? I asked. I turned off the cooker, then faced him. I leaned in for a kiss. Word, he confirmed, lifting me off the ground and sat me on the kitchen counter. He began to kiss me passionately. He proceeded to suck on the erect nipples protruding through my crop top. Shimori can be that crazy, and I loved him for that. He continued to suck on my nipple as he dipped his hand in my shorts, reaching for my vagina. He started to finger me. I was wet and ready for him. Suddenly, a picture of Felicia sucking my pussy flashed through my mind. It instantly unsettled me. I became uncomfortable and couldn't bear his touch much longer. I didn't even realize when I pushed him away. Shimori was shocked. This has never happened before. I'm sorry, but I'm kinda off mood right now, I said, quickly climbing down from the kitchen counter. Real? He questioned, puzzled. Yeah, sorry. I felt guilt and couldn't look him in the face, so I looked away. I'm straight. I'll just make do with dinner, he sighed. I'm sorry, honey, I pleaded, trying hard to not look him in the face. It's cool, he left. I knew too well Shimori didn't deserve that. But I wasn't in control of my emotions and that seemed bad. I decided I was going to try to make it up to him. I finished with dinner. The rest of the eating went quietly for us. We ate in silence, and we even maintained our distance when we slept in bed. Shimori was really hurt by my action, and I could feel it. Now, I have to learn how to put my feelings in check. I won't have anything ruin this relationship for me. Shimori sat at a conference table with Monica, the agent of the house owner, Edward, and Shimori's lawyer, Mark. That he gets to sign the documents for it was the decision. Mr. Edward, before we begin, I want to thank you for making this process an easy one for me, Shimori said, with a sense of gratitude. I just did my job, Edward replied with respect. Edward opened his briefcase, pulled out the documents, and handed them over to Shimori. He studied them before signing them. Monica pulled out a bunch of keys to the property and slid it across to Shimori. Congratulations once more, Monica said with a smile. Thank you, Monica, helping making this happen, Shimori acknowledged. This will be the first of many, he announced confidently. That's what I signed on for, to find the best deals. Let's make a killing out here, Monica said confidently. Shimori nodded with a smile. Real word. Everyone at the table stood up and shook one another's hand. Thank you for coming through and making today a success. I appreciate y'all, Shimori said. Later that evening, Shimori sat in his car in the car park. He had just closed his biggest deal of his real estate career. He would usually take Destiny out for dinner to celebrate, but today, he didn't feel like it. His mind had drifted to several places as he sat there. He thought about how he started out on a street with no helper, and how far he had come. He was really grateful for that. He also thought about the first night he met Destiny, and how they have grown together ever since. He recalled the incident that happened a week ago, how she had pushed him away when he tried to initiate lovemaking. He had avoided having a discussion about the incident with her, making excuses and always postponing the conversation. He trusted her, but many things had crossed his mind, and they all scared him. Was she seeing another man? Could she really cheat on him? He had questioned himself on different occasions. He was scared to learn the truth. She had been willing to talk, but he wasn't ready to handle whatever she had to say. He had started seeing her as family, the one thing he never had all his entire life. He can't bear the thought of losing her. That would be a nightmare for him. Shimori drifted back to reality when his phone started ringing. He glanced at the screen and it was Daryl calling. He had called him as soon as he left the meeting venue to inform him the deal was done. He was probably too busy to answer, and now he was returning the call. What's up, King? Daryl asked as Shimori picked up the call. I'm good, King, Shimori answered, dissipating his worry. How's it going? He inquired. I'm good, Daryl said. Yo, I just wanted to let you know I just closed on that deal, Shimori informed him. Word, congrats, King. Thanks, King, Shimori replied, with appreciation. So, we celebrating at my place Saturday night. We're gonna get some food catered too. Plus, there will be plenty of drinks. I know you like the name Jameson, he added. That's right, bro, you already know. Any of Destiny's friends coming through? Daryl asked. Of course, bro, it's gonna be lit, Shimori announced. I bet, I'll be there, Daryl concluded. Alright, bro. Shimori said before ending the call. Shimori still had a lot to get off his mind. He pondered for a moment, but he was going to push these thoughts aside for now. He was going to book a reservation for dinner. It was a big day, and he needed to celebrate with his queen. Chapter 4. Steve was just finishing up with a customer's haircut when Shimori walked in. What's good, King? Everything good? Shimori asked in his usual jovial manner. Yeah, King. Just trying to get this money. You know how the guy, Rod Kim, said, still don't nothing move but the money, Steve replied. Shimori and Steve had known each other for quite a while. and they had nothing but mutual respect for one another. Shimori knew how Steve had grown his barbing saloon business from scratch. He has been patronizing him ever since. They had a lot in common. They both lived on the streets, and now they're trying to make more out of life. "I feel you, man," Shimori said as he makes himself comfortable in the barbing chair. "But yo, I just closed on a new house deal. My biggest one yet. Now, I gotta do some renovations and put it back on the market so I could flip it," Shimori continued. "Word, that's dope. You're doing your thing, man," Steve said, taking a break from cutting Shimori's hair. "I'm thinking of opening up another spot around South Beach. Except it's unisex this time," he added. "Nice one, King. Keep driving, man," Shimori responded. "How's Destiny?" Steve inquired. The question quickly reminded Shimori of his date last night with Destiny. They had hung out at their usual restaurant and ate their favorite meals. He had seen that their lack of conversation lately was taking the toll on her too. She looked dull on the night. Even wearing a dazzling short black gown that captured her highlights well, and a light makeup, you could still tell something was up with her. During the course of the dinner hangout, she had wanted to bring up the conversation about what happened a few days. But again, Shimori wasn't ready to have that conversation just yet. He had asked her to leave the conversation for later, and she had obliged because she wouldn't want to spoil their night. They had mostly ate in silence, saying 1 or 2 words when necessary. "She's good, man," Shimori answered, showing no signs of underlying issues. "Your boy probably gonna be getting married soon. A couple more house deals, then I'll make her a happy wife," he added cheerfully. "That's a plan, King," Steve smiled. "But yo, if you ain't busy Saturday night, we got catering and drinks on the house. Appreciate that, bro. But me and my lady are having a night out. I think I'll be there for the wedding, though," Steve replied. "All right, King, I got you," Shimori concluded. Shimori had just come out of Steve's shop and headed for his car when he spotted Tamari and a 3-year-old boy standing by his car. His countenance immediately changed. Tamari and Shimori had met at a party 3 years ago. She had liked him at first sight, and she tried to get his attention all through the night. When she finally did, they talked for a while. Shimori had let her know that he had a girlfriend whom he loved so much, but Tamari wasn't having that. She was going to prey on him and take advantage of whatever opportunities he had to walk her way into his life. Shimori had drank more than usual that night. Tamari pretended to have done the same. At the end of the party, Shimori staggered towards his car in the lonely car park when he heard a familiar voice. "I'm sorry. Do you mind giving me a lift? I didn't come with a car." Shimori had turned to see Tamari standing against her car. He had no problem helping her home. "Sure," he responded, not thinking twice about it. "Thank you so much," Tamari said, staggering toward his car. Shimori opened the passenger door and helped her in. He climbed into the driver's seat. He had wanted to start the engine, then Tamari grabbed his hand. "Why are you such in a rush?" she said, caressing her boobs. Shimori smiled. "Hey, I'm just trying to get home to my girlfriend," he answered. The reply almost put Tamari off, but she was determined to get what she wanted. "You seem to care too much about your girlfriend," she admitted. "Perhaps I can get her off your mind for a little bit," she added, as she removed her panties with her other hand. Shimori was dumbfounded. He had never thought of cheating on Destiny, but he is drunk and horny. He couldn't bring himself to be decisive. Tamari leaned over, unhooked his bait, and zipped open his pants. She maneuvered her way into his pants and took out his semi-flaccid dick. She pushed a button that made Shimori lie back. She crossed to the driver's side, managed to position herself well. Then she began to suck on his dick. He moaned suddenly with pleasure. When his dick was erect and hard, Tamari straddled, riding him and herself to orgasm. Shimori had lived with the guilt of that incident ever since. "Hey, what's up? What are you doing standing by my car like that?" Shimori queried as he came close to his car. "How long are you gonna keep playing around?" Tamari fired back. "Even if you didn't give a fuck about me, then what about your son?" she pouted. "What son are you talking about?" Shimori demanded angrily. Tamari held up the boy's hand. "This one," she answered. "I don't know what you're talking about," Shimori clarified. "That little nigga is not mine," he admitted. "You ain't gonna treat your boy like that, are you?" Tamari questioned. "Can you move from my car, girl? I got somewhere I need to be," Shimori said through clenched teeth. "For real?" Tamari questioned. "Move, bitch," Shimori said, gently pushing her away from the side of his car. He proceeded to enter the car and drove off. Chapter 5. Felicia and I hooked up several times at her place. I hadn't let my lingering mouse with Shimori stop me from having fun. In fact, I used it as an excuse to justify my selfish desire. I sat in my office reminiscing on our last encounter. Her perky breast, soft lips, and the way she sucked, licked, and fingered my pussy. And how I burst into orgasm thrice. I was so deep in thought that I didn't notice when Shimori text messaged into my phone. He had notified me to come home early. I was so horny thinking about Felicia, I almost started to caress myself. I knew how busy it always was during the weekdays for her, and I had to cook up something in order to have her all to myself. I couldn't think of anything, so I just picked up my phone and dialed her number. "Hey, girl," Felicia said from the other end. "What's up, girl? You busy? I want to meet up," I said. "I am kind of busy," Felicia acknowledged, glancing at the customer sitting under the hairdryer. "Is it urgent?" I asked with concern. "Yeah, it's urgent," I answered impatiently. "Where do you want to meet?" she inquired. "Your house," I admitted. Felicia already knew the reason I was calling, but she was a little confused if I was becoming obsessed. She loved the fun, but she wouldn't want to get addicted. "My house?" she queried. "Yeah," I responded. "Okay, I'll see you in 30, she replied. "I'm already on my way," I said quickly. "For real?" she asked, surprised. I sat on the front porch of Felicia's house waiting impatiently. Finally, she pulled up behind my car. She looked really worried as she walked up to me. "Babe, are you good? You sounded very urgent," she said as she hugged me. There was no need for much words as my body language only confirmed what was lurking inside. I just kissed her. She opened the door and went in the living room. "What's up?" she asked after closing the door behind us. "I want you," I said with almost a whisper, moving closer to her, with my breast touching hers. I dropped my phone on the table while maintaining eye contact with her. Then I leaned toward her and kissed her again. She reciprocated with a deep kiss. I laid back on a nearby couch, and Felicia straddled me. We continued to kiss as we undressed. I relaxed as she began to softly kiss my breast, neck, and then my lips. I gave a loud moan, which encouraged her to move her fingers to my panties. I was soaking wet when she dipped her fingers in my pussy while staring into my eyes. She had already gotten used to my body, but she knew what to do to make me go crazy with passion. I moaned as she gently bit my tits while fingering my pussy. Each thrust of her finger brought me closer to orgasm. Soon, my thighs began to tremble. I was about to climax. She increased the pace of her thrust. I screamed as I came with deep pleasure. I held tightly in an embrace. We both slept off as we cuddled. Shimori sat in his living room, watching a sports show on TV. he had decided to discuss the challenges of their relationship with Destiny. He had texted her to come home early. He made sure he arrived before her, made dinner, and set up the dining table. Now, it's past 8 p.m. and she still isn't home. Shimori dreaded to think that there might be another man in Destiny's life. He trusted her completely. But what could have prompted the recent changes? He asked himself. He was more worried that she might be in danger than having the thought that she was in another man's arms somewhere. I was awakened by my phone ringing. The room was in total darkness and my phone's light was the only light illuminating the room. I reached for my phone on the table and grabbed it. "Oh my goodness, it's Shimori!" I exclaimed. My voice woke Felicia up. "What time is it?" she asked in a sleepy tone. "Hey, honey." I picked up the call, ignoring what she said. "What's up? Where you at?" He sounded worried. "Hey, I had to rush over to Felicia's, but I'm leaving now," I answered. I was getting worried. "I'm sorry, honey. See you soon," I replied, dropping the call. "Damn!" Felicia exclaimed. "It's not already?" she added with a sense of regret in her tone. I stood up from the couch. "I have to go back home now," I said, dressing up. "I had a customer waiting," Felicia admitted. I finished dressing up and stood there, staring at Felicia. "What?" she asked, confused as to my reason for staring. "I am getting addicted," I acknowledged. I leaned over and kissed her. "See you Saturday night, sexy," I said as I left the apartment. Saturday night came fast. The party was in full swing. A lot of friends and well-wishers had turned up. They were all dancing, drinking, and socializing. Shimori had invited Daryl, and I also invited Felicia. Hooking them up at first sounded like a good plan weeks ago, but now it doesn't sit well with me. I could see Daryl glancing at Felicia as he and Shimori sat across from us. I felt like giving him a hard punch on his well-chiseled face. "Nice one, King. You hold everyone down tonight," Daryl acknowledged proudly. "That's partly what the hustle is about, to spend on family and friends," Shimori replied with a smile. "Yeah, you're right," Daryl said. I couldn't stop myself from thinking about what would happen if Daryl and Felicia really worked out. Will my secret with my best friend be spilled? I queried myself, seeing that Felicia seemed to be into him as well. After taking the last gulp of my drink, I had to excuse myself from the group and signal Felicia to meet me up in the kitchen. I could see Daryl's eyes on her ass as he stood up to follow me out. I felt disgust. "You feeling a chick, bro?" Shimori asked Daryl. "Swears, bro, the chick dope." Daryl responded happily. "I knew you were gonna like her," Shimori admitted, as he stood up from his seat. "I'll be back, bro," he added, before excusing himself. Finally, Felicia and I had some quiet time away from the party as we entered the kitchen. We held each other's hands, staring in each other's eyes. I had no knowledge Felicia didn't close the door well. Shimori had followed us behind. He stopped at the door, eavesdropping on our conversation in a bit to figure out what had been up with me lately. "Hey, I know it's crazy, but I'm way into you more than you can imagine," I made it sincerely. "Girl, I'm into you too, but I think your relationship will soon start to suffer because of this." She spoke with concern. She was right. Shimori and I hadn't tried initiating sex again after that encounter in the kitchen. We haven't even discussed what happened that night ever since. "It's crazy, but right now I don't even know what I want," I said. "What do you mean?" she inquired, looking confused. "Lately, I get distracted when Shimori tries to turn me on. You keep popping up in my head," I replied. "That's a good thing or a bad thing?" Felicia said with a smirk on her face. "It's a good thing and bad thing. Good thing because I love this feeling with you. But bad thing because I'm risking my relationship with Shimori, I announced. I know you can't be two places at a time, but you have to keep a balance. I know damn well Shimori loves you, she said as she looked at me intensely. I could feel the passion building between us. Yeah, I love him too, but I ain't giving this up. You have to keep the secret from me, I responded. Sure, I will. Felicia hugged me, and we kissed until I heard the door creak. I went to check it out, but no one was there. I'm gonna make it up to Shimori after the party tonight. I'm gonna fuck him real good. I grabbed a glass of drink from the kitchen counter and sipped from it. That would have made me jealous, but I'm feeling that Daryl nigga. There's possibility I'll be fucking him tonight too, she said, giving a sly smile. I know she's going to mess that guy up and give him the best night of his life. I almost felt jealous, but I really had to work things out with Shimori. You bad bitch. We chuckled and we went to the party. Shimori was fuming as he returned and sat across from Daryl, who noticed his expression. You're okay, King? Daryl asked curiously. Yeah, I'm good, bro. Shimori replied with a fake smile that failed to convince Daryl. You look like you just got bugged, Daryl said. No, I'm straight, Shimori said. Felicia and I returned to the party. She sat next to Daryl, while I made myself comfortable next to Shimori. You two took a while, leaving me and my homie bored for a moment, Daryl said, breaking the silence. We're back now, Felicia replied with a wink. I'm sorry, honey. You know I don't like to leave you dull. Taking advantage of the situation, I kissed him, but he only flashed a half smile. That's what's up, Daryl said, glancing at Felicia with a smile. I wish I could get one too. Be a good boy and you probably get one by the end of the night, Felicia replied with a smirk on her face. Word? Daryl responded excitedly. Word, Felicia confirmed. I chuckled because I knew it was going to be hot. My pussy tingled just thinking about it. The party was getting wild and I couldn't recognize Felicia anymore. She was really having fun and did not care who was watching. I watched her and Daryl make out several times that night, and she would give me a seductive look at intervals. I saw a strange lady making her way into our house. She was holding the little boy's hand. She stood for a moment and looked around, then she walked towards us. I noticed Daryl's mood changed immediately. Oh, shit, he said under his breath. He signaled to Shimori and nodded in the direction of the approaching mother and child. Shimori became unsettled immediately after he saw her. Damn, Shimori blurted out, standing up. I knew something wasn't right. Babe, you good? I asked, expecting him to say something. Yeah, I'll be right back, Shimori answered in a really anxious manner as he stood up. Something was going on and I was itching to know. Shimori was reluctant to give me an answer, and it made me more curious. The lady and her son stood before us, and it was obvious that some dirty deeds were about to be spilled. Hello, everyone, she grimaced, stopping Shimori in his tracks. Daryl was embarrassed, and Felicia was obviously lost like I was. Honey, do you know her? I questioned Shimori. The lady smiled in a manner that sent chills down my spine. I have known Shimori for a little over 3 years now. Never have I seen him so unsettled. Guess he hasn't told you that he had a son, this mystery lady announced, unapologetically. I was shocked. It felt like my ears were mincing her words together. This is impossible, I thought. How? When? Why? I queried myself in my head. These were questions I knew only Shimori could answer. What? I mumbled, turning to Shimori. I could barely breathe at this point. My mind was exploding with mixed emotions. Babe, please calm. I can explain, Shimori said, trying to calm me down. He turned to the lady. Guess you got what you wanted. Can you leave now? He pouted. I am not done yet. She walked toward the middle of the sitting room. Hello, everyone, she shouted with all her might. The DJ stopped the music, and everyone turned their attention to her, thinking she had to make an important announcement. Well, she does. I want y'all to meet Shimori's son, who he has been trying to avoid, she screamed, surprising the attendees. She held up the boy's hand as she continued. His name is Dylan, and he's 3 years old. Our guests watched on, shocked. I could not understand what was unfolding before my eyes. I felt different emotions at the same time. My anger got the better of me, and I slapped Shimori. You're fucking cheating me, I thundered. After all, I'm not the only one with a secret. You've been fucking Felicia too, he shouted back. What? There were bellowed in all forms of confusion. My anger dissipated in that instance. He knew? I asked myself. Defeated, I could not face Shimori anymore. I tried searching for answers in the eyes of Felicia, but she hastily leaves the house. Plopping down on the couch, I covered my face with her hands in shame. We didn't need to inform the guests that the party was officially over. Party is over, everyone, Shimori yelled. The disappointed guests began to leave one after another. Tamori stood there, not wanting to leave. You gotta give me my own, 'cause I ain't going nowhere. Me and my son are staying in his father's house, she said. You don't want to dare me, bitch, Shimori announced, glaring at her. You're the worst decision I ever made, Tamori concluded, before leaving with her son. King, I know, shit happens. Please, play cool. Daryl tried calming Shimori as he stood up to leave. Shimori nodded in agreement to Daryl, then proceeded to grab a bottle of liquor from the table. I knew it was going to be a long night with little or no sleep for us both. Guilt and anger filled my heart. Burning rage from knowing that Shimori had a son somewhere, and guilt from cheating with Felicia. It felt like my sins were catching up with me. I left for one of the bedrooms in the house. I had no idea where Shimori slept. He had left the house that night without saying where he was going. I was woken up by a loud knock at the front door. It was barely 7 in the morning, and I was in no mood to see any visitors. I remained in bed, hoping Shimori was going to answer the door. I decided to answer it after the knock continued. I couldn't believe my eyes when I opened the front door. It was the same strange woman that had ruined our party the night before. She had the guts to show up here with her son again. What do you want? I asked, unable to hide my dismay. I didn't come here for you. Wait here, baby. I will just go in and talk to your father, she said to her son Dylan, before forcing her way into the house. I knew she was looking for Shimori, and didn't want to lose my cool. So I closed the door behind us, then turned to face her. I didn't have the energy for too much drama. I was going to talk to her calmly, and I hoped she would be reasonable. Shimori hasn't been home since last night, I said in a calm tone. So you can come check him out later, I added. Shimori, better get your ass down here. I ain't leaving this time, Tamari hollered while walking around the house like an angry mad woman. I already told you he isn't home, I yelled at her. Who the fuck are you? Feeling like a wife when I'm the one that had his son, Tamari blurted out angrily. Behave, bitch. You have a kid waiting outside for you, I cautioned, not wanting any confrontation. You might not know it, but I hate you, bitch. I've hated you ever since I realized you're the reason Shimori has been ignoring his son. She glared at me with contempt. If looks could kill, I would probably drop dead at her sight. I see you got words. Maybe if you didn't whore around fucking other people's men, you won't have a son you're trying to force on a man now. I fired back at her. She began laughing, which made me feel like punching her in the face. Says a bitch who sucks dick and licks pussies, Tamari said without remorse. I know something you don't. I am street, she added in an intimidating tone. I had barely said another word when she swung a punch at my face that broke my nose. Then she stepped back from me, anticipating my next action. I quickly held my nose as blood started to stream out of it. I could not believe this lady could punch this hard. You bitch! I yelled as I charged at her like a lunatic. She quickly rooted out a pistol she had under her clothes and pointed it at me. I froze. I came prepared, bitch, she said in a mocking tone. I wasn't about to let her intimidate me, so I surged forward and grabbed her hand. She fell on the couch as I scoffed for the gun. I could remember we both had our hands on the muzzle, but I couldn't care less where the barrel was. I felt a sharp pain as the gunshot accidentally went off. I thought I had ended my own life, until Tamari's body fell freely off mine. I was stained with blood, but the bullet was in Tamari's abdomen. I shouted for help, and immediately Shimori rushed in. What the fuck happened? Who owns the gun? He shouted at the sight of Tamari on the floor. Blood was popping out of the gun wound in her abdomen. She was panting, with the gun still in her hand. She... I couldn't coordinate myself to finish my sentence. Dylan walked into the house. Seeing his mother on the floor, the innocent child rushed over to her. Mama, he said as he squatted beside her, obviously not aware of what was going on. Baby, Tamari said, before she passed out. My heart was racing. You killed her, I repeatedly said to myself in my head. Shimori quickly dialed 911 on his phone. Shimori sat across from the doctor in the doctor's office. He was really worried as he didn't know what news to expect from him. He hoped for the best. The doctor looked tired and exhausted. They had spent the last 6 hours trying to save Tamari's life. We just keep our hopes high, the doctor said, breaking the silence. She lost a lot of blood, but hopefully she'd pull through, he added. I don't really know what to think right now, Shimori announced hopelessly. I just pray nothing happens to her, he cried. Keep it cool. We're doing our best here, the doctor reassured. One more thing, Doc, Shimori pleaded. I know it's a lot to ask, given the circumstances right now, but I want done between me and my boy, he requested. That's not a problem. I can get that arranged. You just gotta provide the samples, the doctor replied. Just let me know what you need, and I get it, Shimori said gratefully. Shimori spent the night at the hospital. Someone needed to take care of Dylan, and he was ready for some daddy duty. He had bonded well with the child. Now, he hated himself for being away from him. He had been praying all night long that Tamari would wake up from her long sleep. He blamed himself for everything that happened. If only he had opened up to Destiny about his child. All the happenings from ruining the party and the scuffle that brought Tamari here would have ensued. Finally, it was morning and Tamari had woken up. She was still in pain, but was out of danger. She learned from the nurse that Shimori had been at the hospital all through, and he had taken care of Dylan himself. That made her happy, and she had asked to see him as soon as she woke up. Shimori led Dylan to the room. The boy immediately rushed over to his mother. Mama, are you gonna be good? The little boy asked innocently. Baby, I'm fine, Tamari responded faintly. Shimori cleared his throat as he stood at the bedside. Hey, he said. Hey, she replied. I'm sorry it took this kind of scenario for me to realize how irresponsible I've been. I deeply apologize for all of my attitude, and I promise to do better from now on, Shimori said with a deep sense of regret. It's okay, Shimori. Tamara acknowledged amid tears. All I ever wanted for my son was to be known and accepted by his father. I never meant any harm, she concluded. It's fine. Just get better. I'm gonna be taking little man out to get some food. You good? Shimori asked. Yeah, sure, Tamara replied gratefully. With that, Shimori and Dylan left their room. Chapter 6. I didn't go to the hospital with Shimori because I couldn't deal with my anxieties. I remained at home, praying that Tamara survives. Felicia has always been my go-to place when things aren't going well, and it was no different at this time. I need to get my mind off a couple of negative thoughts, so I called her. I haven't heard back from Shimori. I'm just here praying, I told her when she asked how Tamara was doing. I know the last 48 hours has been crazy, but just hang in there, girl, she encouraged. Everything will be good, she added. This is fucking too much. I don't know what will happen if she doesn't survive, I answered. You're straight, girl. She brought the gun and tried to kill you, Felicia said, trying to ease my fear. I knew this was a case of self-defense. She had come with the gun with an intention to kill. It was either her or me, but I just didn't want her to die. I wouldn't forgive myself. It would be very terrible if it turned out she died. Shimori might leave me. I might go to prison. I may not see Felicia again. I may lose my job. I was thinking about it when the door opened and Shimori walked in. I gotta go, girl, I told Felicia. All right, girl, she answered back. Keep it cool. Everything will be fine, she said before ending the call. Shimori plopped down on the couch across from me, and I sat up. I didn't know where to start. We stared at each other in silence. I had to break the silence. How is she doing? I mumbled. She's gonna be fine, he answered. I was relieved to hear that. Plus, Shimori didn't sound as though he was mad at me, and it took some tension off my mind. I know the last 2 days has been crazy for us, but I love you, babe, and I don't want to lose us, Shimori added. Now that's what I needed to hear. I knew it was not easy for him as it was for me, and I knew he was sincere. We had no more secrets. It was just two people madly in love with one another, trying to sort out their issues. I felt grateful for that, because no matter what had happened, I didn't want to lose my man. I loved this man, and I was sure he felt the same, if not more. I don't actually know what to say. We're both at the center of everything. I can't even handle my shame. Then I almost killed someone, I said, almost crying. I don't blame you for that. She brought the gun. Our relationship needs to breathe, he said, looking away. How did you meet her? I asked exquisitively. It was obvious it was not easy to talk about it, but I know he wants to. Tamari, Shimori said with a sigh. I met her at a party. The night we closed the first house deal. I drank too. We did it in the car. It never happened again, he said, feeling sorry as he couldn't look me in the eye. I was out of town visiting my aunt at the time. I chimed in. Yeah, he answered in a low tone. What are you gonna do with your girl? He asked curiously. We already talked about it. We're gonna be staying away from each other. Shimori moved over and sat next to me. I'm sorry for everything, he uttered, staring into my eyes. I'm sorry too, I said. We kissed. I felt a new desire for him. I wanted him more than ever, and I was grateful I didn't lose him. 1 week had gone by since Shimori and I had the discussion about our relationship. And the ugly events seemed to have knitted us closer than ever. It made us understand how much we can't live without another. And it has also resurrected our sexual lives. Last night was one to remember. We hadn't pre-planned anything. I was in the shower when Shimori came in. He cupped my breast from behind, which made me smile. I could feel his dick getting hard against my ass. I turned around and faced him. I kissed him before dropping down on my knees. I held his dick and began to suck like a lollipop. He moaned with pleasure. By the time it became hard and fully erect, I was dripping wet. I stood up, bent over, holding the edge of the bathtub. Shimori inserted his dick into my vagina from behind, and I welcomed it with a moan. He began to thrust, slow and wild. I felt every move, reciprocating it with a moan. It felt so good. He leaned in, fondling my nipple, as he continued to thrust. Fuck, I love you, baby, I moaned. I love you more, he replied in a low tone. Soon, I could feel my pussy begin to contract. My breathing became rapid. My whole body tingled. I could barely stand on my feet. Fuck! I screamed as I burst into orgasm. Shimori moaned loudly as he climaxed with me. We cuddled in the bathtub, with the shower raining water on us until he became cold. I woke up the next morning, feeling happy and grateful. It was Saturday, so I would be spending the day with Shimori, something I had been looking forward to lately. Shimori was still sleeping. He looked more peaceful than ever. I kissed him with a smile. He woke up. Good morning, beautiful, he whispered. Good morning, baby, I replied. I moved on to making breakfast for the both of us. We were cuddling on the couch, watching our favorite TV show as a knock came on the front door. I stood up and headed for the door. When I opened it, it was Tamari and her son. She looked more calm than the last time she was here. I smiled at her, and she smiled back. I led them to the house. Shimori and I sat across from Tamari and her son. I felt a little nervous when I remembered I had almost killed her. But I'm grateful she was alive. It's fine. I'm glad you're better now. Shimori broke the silence. Hey, I know this is difficult to say, but I'm sorry for trying to kill you. I managed to admit it. That was all my fault. I shouldn't have brought the gun, Tamari replied. There's something I gotta tell you, Tamari. I am not the father of your boy, Shimori said, taking the envelope out of his pocket. I was shocked and surprised. Tamari froze. At the hospital, I had a DNA test done between me and the boy. And this is the result. Confirms I am not the father, Shimori added, passing the envelope to Tamari. She collected the envelope, glanced at it, but didn't open it. It was obvious she knew the content of the envelope. She sighed deeply. It's true. You're not Dylan's father, she said, as tears trickled down her face. What the hell is going on here? I quizzed myself in my head. I maintained my composure, not wanting to disrupt anything. I was already 3 weeks pregnant when I met you, Tamari confessed. But you were everything I wanted in a man. I also wanted a better father for the child I was carrying. That's why I did all I did, she added, crying. Wait, she knew? I couldn't even bring myself to be mad anymore. I just felt sorry for her and moved over to sit and console her. I'm sorry for trying to hurt you guys. You don't deserve that. I'm such a horrible person, she cried. Shimori took out another envelope from his pocket and held it out to Tamari. And here's a check for $10,000. I'm sure it can get you started. To do something for yourself and take care of your boy. Tamari was dazed. No, I can't take that, she announced, terrified by Shimori's kindness. Don't worry, girl. Take it. Your boy deserves a better future, I said, trying to convince her. And in that moment, I was so proud of Shimori. Oh my God, you both are so kind. Thank you two so much. Tamari wiped her tears and took the envelope from Shimori. She hugged me tightly as her and her son stood up to leave. Chapter 7. It has been 6 months. There hasn't been any dull moment in my relationship with Shimori ever since. We talked about everything and anything. Sometimes, I look back at the challenges and I'm glad things happened the way they did. But after all these months, nothing could have prepared me for what happened next. I was busy preparing my weekend financial report in my office when my phone beeped. I picked it up and unlocked it, and I was so happy to have received a text from Shimori. When I opened the text, my eyes were instantly filled with tears as I read the first line. Babe, I was in an accident, it read. My heart began to race. Accident? I thought to myself. How severe was it? Was he going to survive? I had several questions that could only be answered when I saw Shimori. I couldn't finish the text, but I had seen the hospital address, and that was all I needed. I jumped up from my seat, grabbed my handbag, and dashed out of my office. I met Jerry on my way out and told him what had happened. He opted to drive me to my destination. No, Jerry, I need you here, I said, hastily walking toward the entrance door. I can't let you go on your own like this. You are not in the right mind to drive, Jerry argued. I wasn't seeing reasons with him, and he was not willing to let me go on my own. He didn't let me enter my car when we reached the car parking lot. As he stood on the driver's door. Okay, Jerry, you win, I said, handing him my car key. I hurried over to the driver's side, and Jerry helped open the door from the inside. The road was free, and that gave me hope that I would see Shimori in no time. Jerry was an efficient driver, cruising the car through the free road. As we exited the free highway, my car began to show signs of stopping all of a sudden. What is happening? I asked Jerry in an anxious tone. We are out of gas, he replied. Wait, this was the same spot my tire went flat the night I met Shimori, I recalled. The superstitious side of me came alive. Shimori is dying. If not, why am I reliving the events that led to our first meeting? Our end must be close, I thought as tears started to roll up in my eyes. There's a gas station close by. I will rush over and get some gas, Jerry announced, before stepping down from the car. I sat in the car waiting impatiently. Beautiful memories I had made with Shimori began to replay in my head. A tear fell from my eye. It didn't take long before Jerry returned with a gallon of gas, which he quickly poured into the car, and we restarted our journey. I became grateful that I had him come with me. I wasn't in the right frame of mind to drive. We had been on the road for nearly 2 hours. I glanced on my wristwatch and it read 5:01. It dawned on me that I hadn't given Jerry the address earlier. How did he know the address to the hospital? I thought. But I was more concentrated on getting to the hospital than on knowing how Jerry got to know the hospital address. We finally came to the address, but it looked nothing like a hospital. In fact, this was the nightclub I had hanged out with Felicia the night I met Shamori. "This isn't a hospital," I said to Jerry, thinking he had brought me to the wrong location. "I know," Jerry replied with a smile. "This was why I asked to bring you," he added, leaving me confused. "Okay, what is going on?" I demanded. "You will find out when you get inside," Jerry told me. I don't know Shamori for playing games, but whatever this is, it better be worth my time. "My assignment was to get you here safely," Jerry smiled. I was in no mood for the smile, so I alighted from the car and headed for the entrance. Jerry followed me behind. When I got inside, a soul light was shining down on a man at the counter. He was dressed in a well-cut suit. I knew that it was Shamori. As I walked toward him, a spotlight followed me with each step I made. I was still lost, and I didn't know what to think. Why would he tell me that he was in an accident? I asked myself angrily. Shamori finally turned to face me with a smile on his face. He was dazzling in his outfit. "What's going on?" I asked, trying to contain my anger. "At least I'm relieved he is fine." "Ain't you tired of being in this relationship with me?" he asked, throwing me off once more. First, it was the accident. Now he wants to break up, I thought. "I don't understand what you mean by that," I told him. A light in the bar area came on. I saw a decoration on the wall. A decoration made with rose flowers, my favorite. It read, "Please marry me." My heart buzzed with joy. Shamori put his hand inside his jacket and brought out a diamond ring. He went down on one knee and held my hand. "You are the best thing I've ever had. Please say yes," he pleaded. I was speechless. I had thought about Shamori proposing in the past. I had practiced how I was going to react, but I couldn't remember any of it. "Yes," I responded. "I will marry you," I said. Shamori slipped the ring into my middle finger. He stood up and kissed me. Suddenly, there was clapping from all around us. The lights came on, and I could see the faces of friends, family, and my team. This whole thing was carefully planned out, I thought to myself. Felicia was here too. She came up to me and hugged me. "Congrats, baby," she said. "Thank you so much," I replied, grateful that Shamori took out time to invite my best friend. "You know, Daryl and I have been fucking," she whispered in my ear, and my eyes widened in shock. "For real?" I asked in surprise. "Now, that's the kind of man I've always wanted," she admitted. "He knows how to hold me down," she added proudly. I hugged my friend again. "I am happy for you," I whispered in her ear. I enjoyed the rest of my night, happy for what I and Shamori have come through, and hopeful for a future together.